Welcome, everybody. I'm super excited for another episode of Show About Science. This is your host, Nate. Have you ever seen a large, freaky yellow insect flying around in your backyard? Because I did last summer, and I had to get to the bottom of it. So I'm talking to Blake Newton today about cicada wasps. It's going to be a great episode, and I promise you won't get stung. Hello?
Hi, is this Nate?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good.
So, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Blake Newton. I am an entomologist, and I work at the University of Kentucky in Lexington, Kentucky.
So, what are cicada killers?
So cicada killer is a very large wasp. They live in the United States, and they are native to the United States. They hunt cicadas, and they feed them to their larvae.
How long do cicada killers live?
A cicada killer has an unusual life cycle. They don't live very long. An adult cicada killer comes up out of its cocoon, out of the ground in late summer. They hunt for cicadas, and then the adult cicada killers are dead by early fall. But then their larvae will live underground for almost a whole year until they're ready to come out as an adult next year.
And how do their life cycles match up with the cicadas' life cycles?
Their life cycles match up very well. So the cicadas that come out and feed on trees, they come up out of the ground in late summer, and then so do the cicada killers. The adults come out of their cocoons and are ready to fly and hunt for cicadas at the same time that the cicadas are around. So this all happens, at least in Kentucky, in July and August mostly.
Do they come every year?
Yes, they do. Usually they'll be kind of in the same place every year. There are some parks that I know of in Lexington that if I go every year around August, I will see them every time. But sometimes they might disappear from an area, and if they do, it's usually because someone has gone in and tried to get rid of them, either by maybe excavating the soil or planting grass or spraying pesticides. So typically, if they find a place that they like, their populations will kind of continue there from year after year.
Can I tell you something funny?
Sure.
Once I was walking to the train station, and I was like, ugh. What is that? Ah! And then it started flying towards me. I was like, back away! Ah! And it was a cicada killer that was carrying a cicada. And it was freaky looking. It was big, and it was just horrifying.
Yeah, they are very large, and they can be very scary in their appearance, but luckily they are not very dangerous to us.
Right, it didn't sting me, thank God.
That's good. Yes, one of the reasons that cicada killers are not considered very dangerous is because they are a solitary wasp. That means they do not live and work in hives like some bees and hornets do. Instead, when they dig their little tunnel and put their larvae inside, they do that by themselves. So it's just one cicada killer with one tunnel. So when a cicada killer gets mad at you, it might sting you, but you will not get a whole group of cicada killers defending their nest like you would with a hornet or some kind of bees.
Phew! Because if that happened, I'd be running onto the train tracks. I'd be running around the world. And so, how much do their stings hurt if they do sting you?
Well, I've never been stung by one before. I've heard that it hurts a lot. I do know that they have very large stingers. So their abdomen is about an inch long, and the stinger is inside that abdomen like a knife inside of a sheath. And it's essentially as long as the abdomen is. So the stinger is very, very long. It does have venom. So when it stings you, it would hurt quite a bit. But a cicada killer is only going to sting you if you hurt it or grab it. And a male cicada killer is not able to sting you at all because a male does not have a stinger.
How do cicada killers, how do they know where a cicada's nest is?
That's a good question. I'm not sure how they find the cicadas. We know that cicadas make a lot of noise. So it could be that the cicada killers are able to sense those vibrations or sense that noise. It's possible that they might also be able to see them. Wasps can actually see pretty well, so they might be able to see cicadas flying. One thing that we do know is that in July and August, there are a lot of cicadas, so it might not take them too long to find one.
How do you know if it's a cicada killer or just a regular wasp?
That's a good question, too. So cicada killers actually look quite a lot like another wasp called a European hornet. They're both very large. Those are the two biggest wasps that live in Kentucky anyway, and some other parts of the United States there's some different wasps. But cicada killers look a lot like European hornets. They're yellow and they have black, but a cicada killer is bigger. So once you see a cicada killer and a European hornet, you'll see that the cicada killer is another ½ inch or more longer than a European hornet. So cicada killer is really big. They also have a little bit of orange on their bodies, a little bit more black. So once you look at the patterns, you can see that there's a difference in the pattern. But honestly, for me, when I see them from a distance, I have a hard time telling a cicada killer from a hornet. So you kind of have to get used to them, maybe even carry a phone around with you so you can look at the picture and make sure that what you're seeing is a cicada killer or a hornet. Because if it's a hornet, it can actually be kind of dangerous. But cicada killer is not very dangerous.
So how can you control cicada killers?
That's a good question, too. In most cases, you don't need to control cicada killers because they really don't cause any problems. The biggest situation where we see where people want to control them is on golf courses, because sometimes they'll build a lot of their mounds in a golf course, and there'll be so many cicada killers flying around that people won't want to come and play golf there. Even though they would be very unlikely to sting somebody, golfers still might be a little unnerved by them. So in those cases, what you do is you try to get rid of the mounds themselves. The cicada killers make mounds in the ground. The best way to do that is to have a thick growth of grass. If there's a lot of grass growing really thick, cicada killer won't even build a mound there. They like kind of bare ground and sandy ground. So if you get grass to grow there, they're less likely to build. And then if you really need to get rid of them, and if you can't get grass to grow, you can put a little bit of insecticide right in their little tunnel, and that will kill them. But we usually don't recommend that unless it's a very unusual situation.
On the golf course, I could just picture Trump on the golf course with his golf club. He's like, get him away from me! Get him away from me! Ah!
Yes, I think that might happen kind of frequently because the cicada killers actually kind of are pretty common on golf courses. So you can imagine a golfer who doesn't know what it is and a cicada killer's flying around them, they might get a little bit scared. And cicada killers do kind of fly around right at the level of your face. You will see them quite frequently, and they look kind of scary, and they will come sort of close to you sometimes. But if you know that it's a cicada killer, you know that you don't need to be worried about it.
Thank you for being on the show.
No problem. Good luck, and keep your eye out for cicada killers. They're fun to watch, and try to encourage people to not be worried about them because they are not something that will typically hurt people.
There you have it, folks. The show about science is complete. Mom, you can shut the recording off. For the newest episodes of the show about science, download the Pin app or go to pinna.fm/promo.